welcome to our first guest. This person who I've known for a very long time in my working field of culture. Her name is Angelique. I am the goddess McKay. Angelique, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ellery. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Angelique, we want to talk about festivals not only locally but internationally. What is your role?
Well, I'm here this evening, today, representing Cultural Experience Productions. It's a consultancy organization, and my role in that particular organization is the project manager. So what we do in Cultural Experience Productions is we either consult or we manage cultural projects, cultural events, festivals. Okay? And that's the gamut of what it is that we do in this particular organization.
So, when you talk about festival, when you mention festival, what it all entails, what exactly would you describe festival as?
Well, when we think about a festival, we always think about a fun event. A festival is it's gonna have some of the same elements across the board, no matter what type of festival it is. You're gonna have food, you're gonna have music, you're gonna have drinks, you're gonna have a variety of different entertainment, and you're gonna have a theme that's gonna resonate throughout the festival, that's gonna join everything together. And when we have these festivals, you try to attract as many people as you can to your festival to get your message of what your festival is about to as many persons as possible. And you try to create that festival so you can engage those persons for a minimum of 2 hours at your festival grounds. So it's a lot of juggling and a lot of balancing in the execution of festivals. People come and they see the festival and they're having fun, and they're like oblivious to the behind the scenes of what went into executing or getting a festival to a spot where it's like, oh, let's just let our hair down and So it's a lot of work, but it becomes a passion for somebody that's working in the industry.
So I see also you're consulting project manager. Is that your role as well?
That's my role with Cultural Experience Production, and it's my role a lot when persons come to that particular organization. We have a team of heavy hitters in that organization. And sometimes an event, say a special event or a festival, may not want the entire team. They may want aspects of the team. So one individual from the team, say our financial director, they may need special guidance on finances, so that person would come there. If they want us to assist them with managing the entire festival, that's where I come in, and the entire body of Cultural Experience Production. So we would be able to manage their festival from start to finish. And when we say start to finish, we're talking about months in advance. We're talking about assisting them in organizing their social media management, their PR, their trying to identify and source sponsors that would be in line with their festival. Say, for instance, you have a religious festival. You can't go to a liquor company, in essence, to assist with the sponsorship. So you have to be able to understand the fine line between finding a partner and a sponsor to be able to get your festival message across. So there are a lot of things behind the scenes that persons who attend the festival would take for granted, but the experts that go on the ground for the execution, they do all of the heavy lifting to execute.
Okay, so I want you to give me 3 festivals, past and present, and what capacity you did these festivals, because I know one festival which you did, you carried abroad to, I think, Washington, if I'm correct, or?
Well, that was just what we did in Washington, and I'll get to that, but I'll speak to what you asked about the 3 festivals,
Right.
And I'll start with perhaps the earliest one, participating in, and then a middle, and then the latest.
Okay.
I was actively involved with Festival Run Bahamas. And with that festival, my role in that festival was to be able to identify and secure all of the entertainment, the cultural aspects and entertainment for that festival.
Okay.
So that was from what you saw at the entrance for the festival. And for that particular festival, the Junkanoo Commandos were instrumental in the creation of 8-foot tall
Yes,
pirates
I remember.
for that festival. So from that aspect to procuring Scotch Conch, a local band, because that particular festival had entertainment throughout the venue and throughout the day. So I was responsible for that cultural element and the infusion, inclusive of the artisans that participated at that event. And that was a dual role because it was a consultancy type role, because I could only offer my advice, but it was still up to the festival owners or organizers to decide whether or not they would take ownership of the advice that was offered. For the most part, they took the majority of the advice. As you see, the festival was slamming then,
Yes.
right? And then another festival that I was involved with in a different capacity, still somewhat of a consultant, but more heavily involved, and again with the cultural infusion, is the True Bahamian Festival.
Right.
And with that, the main component that I was responsible for was the Junkanoo infusion. And again, the Junkanoo Commandos played a significant part in that they created their pop-up shack, which allows persons to see behind the scenes of the creation of Junkanoo costumes, from a sketch to the costume that would be displayed on Bay Street to the performances that they actually did themselves there. And you may hear me making reference to the Junkanoo Commandos. The Junkanoo Commandos comes under the Cultural Experience Productions umbrella. So all of the trips that the Junkanoo Commandos would have had in their earlier years, the project management team for that has been Cultural Experience Productions.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
The third one, don't let me get away from you, the third one is the Bahamas Junkanoo Art and Music Festival,
yes.
where Cultural Experience Productions was the full project management team for that. So all aspects of that festival, the project management ran, and the Junkanoo Commandos, whose festival it is, worked in tandem with Cultural Experience Production.
Right.
So Cultural Experience Productions team would basically say, okay, Junkanoo Commando A, you need to do X, Y, and Z, and they would execute it.
Right.
So a lot of the heavy lifting rests on Cultural Experience Production team, but the Junkanoo Commandos had a team that their boots were on the ground, working hand in hand with Cultural Experience Production.
That's awesome.
It was.
So the last question I'm going to ask you is do you think the Bahamas does enough festivals?
No, we don't have near enough festival. One of the things that I think that we could do, we could be known as the boutique capital for boutique festivals in the world. Because we do have quite a number. I think we probably have, when we add up our festivals and homecomings, we probably have a listing of almost 80 throughout the year, throughout the archipelago. That already puts us in a niche category that's different from all of the others. And my thing is, if we up our game and we fine-tune our festivals, we're in a position to pull visitors to our country every day of the year, or every week of the year, to be able to have something. So festivals don't have to take place on a holiday weekend. A weekend is fine for a festival to take place with a country that pulls millions of visitors a year. And a lot of our festivals in the Family Islands, they don't market themselves even to the local market. So the domestic tourists that they could benefit from, they're not even targeting. So the opportunity is there for us to spread our wings and turn the Bahamas into the boutique festival capital of the world. Mm-hmm.
There you have it. There you have it. Thank you, Angelique, for being
Thank you, Ellery. Thank you very much.
Awesome interview.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be back. next guest is Bridget Mackey. She's the financial person for cultural experience production. She's the bag lady. She's the one who deals with all of the money. Welcome, Bridget.
Welcome, Ellery, and thank you for having me today.
Thank you, no problem. So let me ask you a question, Bridget. What is your role as the financial director?
Okay, my role as the financial director, I play a two-fold role. The first role as a consultant, where a budget is prepared and given to you, suggesting that you stick to that particular budget. The second role is where I play the full role as a financial director, where a budget is prepared and that budget is stick to the very penny.
That sounds interesting. So, how involved are you in the team organizing, streamlining the finances?
Oh, very, very much involved. But you know, with anything that you do, budget and money are very, very important. So I ensure that any event that we are involved in is never under budget. You know, as Bahamians, we always say, oh, I have a cousin who's a DJ, and you don't need to include that in your budget. That's something that we don't do. We would still include it, just in case something happens to your cousin. That will still be included. We won't have a problem on the day of the event.
Is there anything that you would tell the festival teams with the initial meetings? What would you tell them? Advice for them?
The most important advice that I would give is having an accurate budget. Having one that you know that's feasible. Having one that you know that's funded, and know that no matter if someone cancels, that you still have funding for your event.
So it's the question what I would ask, I know this is not my line of work, but is it a tedious thing to do?
Very tedious, because you know when you're dealing with funds and you're dealing with personality, sometimes it becomes a little difficult. So I would say it's sometimes become very, very tedious, but I'm up for the job.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Our third guest is Miss Glenise Sherman. I had to get it right. She is the IT and the logistics person in cultural experience production. So what do you do exactly?
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me. So my role on the team for cultural experience production would be IT and logistics coordinator. As a part of the IT and logistics coordinator, my role encompasses quite a few things. One of them would be to assist one of our main vendors, Mobile Assist, with the data collection of the demographics of festival patrons that actually come to our event. So what we would like to know is who's coming to the event, where do they come from, what's their background, that type of thing. Another thing that I would assist with in terms of logistics would be assisting either our vendors or artisans with actually getting to the event. So from the filling out of the applications, the calling, making sure that their deposits are paid, that type of thing. One of the benefits of being on such a small but unique and dynamic team is you get an opportunity to do a little of everything. And a little of everything and catch all comes under logistics.
So your job sounds very tedious, but also it sounds a lot of fun too. You experience different things and people, etc., etc. That's how I see it.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't necessarily call it tedious, but it does get intense. One of the benefits of starting a year ahead of the actual date is you get an opportunity to do real conversations with everybody who's involved with the event. So from production, the artists, the vendors who are coming there to sell their products, the artisans who are coming there to put their art and craft on display. Part of the Bahamas John Canoe Art and Music Festival is we have what we call a live gallery. So it gives the average Joe who would normally only go to John Canoe maybe once a year, the opportunity to walk up and do a touch and feel of the costumes to see the intricate work and the hard work that goes into some of these costumes. So the importance of my role is I need to make sure that the costume is there. I need to make sure that the costume is there. And then the costume needs to be placed in a segment of the gallery that makes sense for that costume. So that's me.
So working along with other organizers, how's that? Different festival organizers.
One of the benefits that I realize of being in cultural experience productions and working with the Bahamas Jungle Art and Music Festival, when we turn around and work with other locals who are either producing festivals or events, homecomings or regattas, one thing I realize is you sometimes have to be very delicate with them. Because when you have birthed this dream and you've had it from inception, someone like me coming in trying to dictate to you what it is or how it is that, you should run when in your mind you have the idea. I think the benefit of me being able to say, hey, I've been in your shoes. I've done this. We can do this. And the team that you have hired, we got you. And we want nothing but your success. So that enables us to call from our backgrounds to show others that, hey, you're in good hands.
The next question is, so when you attend festivals, what are the pitfalls or what the benefits are when you see someone in your line of expertise? What do you see? What do you encounter? How do you want to correct when you see something is happening, going well or not?
So being in this job for the last 5 years, when I now attend events and I go different places, I either see all that they have done wrong and all of the missteps, and almost want to tell them, hey, if you're going to do this again, come find us. Or I can see some things that they would have done very well and some things that I would actually take back and use for another client or for another Bahamas Junkanoo Art and Music Festival. So it almost becomes a part of your life. You just can't help but see the things that they do or they don't do.
So can you give me some examples?
So one of the examples that I've seen, and it's even when you walk through the gate of a festival and there's nothing there to greet you. So yes, you came somewhere, but there's nothing at the entrance to grab your attention and make you want to draw you in even more or to make you want to stay a little longer. Another thing that I've realized that we sometimes do is, Bahamians are very passionate about their food and our food and our culture. And I believe I can do the best comforters. And I believe I can do the best macaroni. But at an event, you can't have 5 people making comforters and macaroni. So if you're going to come, even if you may have 2 vendors doing comforters, you can't have them together. So a part of logistics comes into play with being able, and consulting on logistics, comes into play with being able to tell a festival creator, look, when you're doing your setup or you're doing your layout, take all of these things into consideration. If you have more than one entrance, put comforter A at the north and put comforter B at the south, so that you get that aroma when you're coming into the festival. That could be your draw. Layout, simple things like bathroom facilities and signage. I need us to embrace signs. I need us to embrace the idea of maps. I need us to embrace the idea of technology, because we have quite a few vendors that can create these digital maps for you. So when you, as a patron, you come to the festival, you can download the app. The app will give you everything. It can even give you coupons for the different vendors. It can give you the map and the layout. It can give you the schedule of events. You know, those are some things that being logistics and being a part of such a dynamic team like Cultural Experience Productions, we feed on the here and now. We feed on what's going on internationally. We bring those type of things into the team so that we can make festivals in the Bahamas great. Festivals in the Bahamas are unmatched, but there's so much room for these to grow and make us more money.
Thank you. Wow. With the exception of Bridget not being here, in closing, I'll give it to Angelique to start off. One question I had before we had that little segment, international interviews. I know in December we had one. I forgot the gentleman's name. Tell us about that.
Parks.
Tell us about that.
One of the things that we in Cultural Experience Production have had the opportunity to do is to travel globally to different festivals and carnivals around the world. And one of the things that we do as well under our umbrella is we try to expose as many Bahamian artists and artisans to the global arena as we possibly can. And what you're referencing is Pat Nindi. He is the CEO of Global Carnivals. And he is a consultant for a number of carnivals throughout Europe, the UK, South America, as well as the United States and Canada. So one of the goals is to try to get as many of our cultural practitioners exposed globally, and in an effort to draw persons to the Bahamas to experience these same cultural practitioners in their homeland and in a local setting, so that they could experience our festivals and what we bring to the table, the cuisine of the Bahamas, the drinks of the Bahamas, and the overall atmosphere of the Bahamas through festivals.
Okay, and Ms. Sherman, what about you? Locally, what's your closing remarks on festival?
I think for me, I am eager to get back, like Angelique, like they say, boots on the ground, to do it, to execute, produce, or even attend festivals, homecomings, regatta, whatever it is that the Bahamas has to offer, because there's no limit to us. There's no limit to our potential. There's no limit to how we can and what we can do with some of the creative minds. We've seen the things and the ways that Junkanoo has exposed us. We've seen the ways and the things our food has exposed us. You know, the islands of the Bahamas are still untapped, and there is more work to be done. And I am ready as the dynamic team of Cultural Experience Productions to get it done.
Well, there you have it. I would like to thank my guests today on today's show, and hopefully we do many, many more. On behalf of Ministry of Sports and Culture, I'd like to close this segment. Thank you.